Welcome back to the channel, folks, and one of us is not a hologram. We've actually got two people in the room for once. It's a bit like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, 2 men enter, 1 man leave. Certainly a lot less hassle than setting up the live stream, I can tell you. That's a right chore. But I'm pleased to say Peter is actually here in the room today. So Peter, you've actually played a couple of games against people?
Yes, we've had a few face-to-face games now that the lockdown has eased, and it's good. It's good to get in front of people and actually play in real time.
Well, I'm not going to have my normal advantage in these games of being able to cover up the camera and move everything when the other player's not looking. So we'll see if I can actually do anything against Peter's list. In this game now, Peter, you've brought Falshirmjaegers today, and you've got a really nice army. Got some tigers in support. So we'll go over and look at the army list, and we'll start with Peter's and then move on to mine.
Well, what I've got is a Falshirmjaeger platoon. It's from the D-Day book. So they're all fearless veterans, so you don't get much for your money. So I've got one large platoon with a Panzerschreck, and a smaller platoon again with a Panzerschreck. HQ, the Pack 40s are within the formation, and I've got two 8cm mortars again within the platoon. So the only support I've got are the 3 tigers. I had this list, I did this list fairly recently, but I didn't have the tigers. I had some Panzer IVs and some Marders, but I thought I needed the strength of the tigers just to give my opponent something to think about while my infantry run about and hopefully cause havoc.
And do the platoon or company commanders have Faust at all?
Yes, sorry, they've got Faust as well. Yes.
So it's a good.
Yes.
So there's 3 Faust, 2 Shreks,
and HQ's got Faust as well.
And 3 Pack 40s, 3 tigers, and a couple of mortars. So it's a good mix of stuff there. Stuff that can kill tanks, stuff that can kill infantry.
Yes, yes. Well, hopefully. Let's see what happens.
Stuff that has the ability to kill tanks and infantry. And then the dice will decide what actually gets killed.
Yes.
And there you go, folks. There's Peter's lovely looking Falshirmjaeger list. Here is the Soviet list. So we've got 2 main formations. We've got the Hero motor rifles and the Hero T-34-85s. Now, a lot of the time I would take 2 platoons of 10 Hero motor rifles. In this case I've gone for 3 platoons of 7. They're smaller platoons, but you get 3 of them. You get 1 extra base for your points compared to 2 platoons of 10. And the reason I'm doing this is because I can be in 3 different places at once, which means if I'm attacking, I can maybe have a flank attack plus a main attack. If I'm defending, I can maybe have a reserve platoon in a position ready to move to support wherever is under the greatest amount of pressure. Now the T-34-85 formation is pretty straightforward. 2 platoons of 4, company command, and then platoon of 6 mortars, which could be added to these guys, but adding it here as part of their sort of grey box options makes it a bit more of a resilient formation, because I could lose that, and then that would go, but with them on the table, that would stay. And then for support, I've got 422mm artillery, so that's 2 good artillery units then, plus some mortars, wee observer, and then 3 Su-100s. Now the Su-100s, I thought about that or 57mm anti-tank guns. If I drop the heavy machine gun that I've attached to one of these platoons, that's an extra point floating about, I could have a platoon of 4 57mm that could be attached to the tanks or to the infantry, and a platoon of 4 57mm, the heavy tank killer ones, and those guys are the fearless, veteran, careful guys that could be really nasty, but I'm not sure yet, guys. If I was maybe going to commit to something a bit more of a defensive list, I would choose it. I'm just going to go for these guys. Just because they're mobile, they hit hard. I've only got 3 shots, but they hit hard just in case I come up against anything which is going to be tough for the T-34s to deal with before they get round the flanks. So there you go, 2 formations, Soviet hero units. The Su-100 is a Soviet tank killer. It has a tactical move of 10 inches, but it's got a cross check of 5, so you need to be careful where you're deploying it because it won't cross obstacles easily. It's careful, so hit on a 4+. It's a veteran, so it's got a 3+ skill. And it's also fearless, though it doesn't fare so well in assaults with lower stats for that. The 100mm gun has a 32-inch range. It's got a rate of fire of 1. It's slow firing as well, which means it has a penalty of 1 if it's firing on the move. Its anti-tank is 15 and its firepower is 2+, so it's more than capable of taking on all but the heaviest German tanks and knocking them out. The Tiger tank is probably the most well-known tank of the Second World War. In Flames of War, it is rated as Careful, Confident, Veteran. It's got a last stand of 2+ and a remount of 2+, so it's highly skilled and highly motivated. Now, the gun has got a 40-inch range, which means it can deal with its enemies at a good standoff distances. Anti-tank 14 means it can defeat most enemies with confidence, and firepower of 3+. Its mobility is quite good. It's got a tactical of 10-inch, which means it's not going to go slower than a medium tank, and it's got a good cross check of 2+. It's got 4 MG dice for those soft targets, so it's highly pointed, so you're not going to get a lot of these in your force, but if you use them right, work on the advantages of range, hitting power and defensive armour, it's one of the most effective tanks that you can put down on the table. Today's mission is Killing Ground. As you can see, the attacker has got quite a small deployment zone. The defender has this horseshoe shaped deployment zone, which means that ambushes can be popped on the flanks of the attackers as well as straight ahead. So it's quite an interesting challenge for both players. Now it's not delayed, it's just scattered. Let's see, just get the exact, deep scattered immediate reserves. And you can see that the reserves, now this caused me a bit of confusion just by the way this particular mission reads, because it talks about corners for where reserves arrive, but it appears that they can arrive anywhere along the table edges. So objectives are in this band across the back. So you've got an ambush and minefields, and the victory conditions, pretty much the objectives are live straight away, so the attacker can win in any turn. Defender can win from their 6th turn onwards if there's no attacking teams within 8 inches of the objectives. So this could be quite an interesting one, guys. Killing Ground. Right folks, so we have set up the deployment zones. I chose attack, Peter chose defend. With the size of his force, it kind of made sense that he wasn't having to rush over open terrain. This mission has got a sort of horseshoe shaped deployment zone for the defender up to that line there, with the objectives being in an 8 by 8 inch box, 8 inches in from the side, or from the front of the deployment zone from the side, down here. And then my deployment zone's a bit restricted. If I had a big army, it'd be difficult to fit it all in. I put one objective down over there, as you can see, and I put a couple of ranged markers over there too, and then I put another one over here, just to split Peter's smaller force in two. Now Peter, can you tell us what you've got on the table, what it is, where it is, and what's in reserve?
Okay, well, I've only got 2 platoons of Falshirmjaeger on the table and 2 mortar platoons on the table. I've got my Pack 40s in ambush, but the placement of the objectives being so wide apart means I basically get 2 defensive points. I've not got enough forces to cover the whole side of my table, so I'm splitting 2 so that might be a problem. But I just hope my reserves come on.
Right, that's Tiger tanks, and you'll be rolling for turn 1, but they could come on just about anywhere. It could be along the back edge, or it could be right up the table edges, depending on what dice is rolled. So I've deployed infantry kind of across the front, with a bit more tanks over this side. You can see the T-34s, company command, the SC-100s, the artillery, mortars over here, and another platoon of T-34s over here. So we'll come back at the end of my turn 1 and see what I can do. Soviet turn 1. So it's basically movement. These guys, all the infantry moved as far as they could with the terrain and then done a follow me. These tanks tactically moved. The SU-100s moved into a concealed position on the hill, and these guys dashed over here. And then in terms of shooting, I decided to concentrate my artillery on 4 mortars over here, roll 6 dice in total, and not a single range in. So that left a little bit of direct fire shooting against long range, gone to ground Falshirmjaegers, so no hits there. So that's me moved up. Time for Peter to be thinking about ambushes, rolling for reserves and shooting me up. Your turn 1.
So I didn't I didn't bring my ambush on, and then I didn't roll for reserves, so the only movement I did was to shuffle around some of this platoon here to cover the objective, and then I rearranged in with my 2 mortar platoons over here, managed to kill 1, and then over here I managed to kill 1 plus the commissar, so that's good. At least I'm killing something, and that was me.
Right, so Soviet turn 2, and apologies if there's any noise of grass cutting going on outside, folks, but it's really hot today in Scotland, which isn't something you hear very often, so we've got to keep the windows open. So in my turn, everybody motivated okay, and in terms of movement, these guys are spread across here, Blue Roof Building, Church and Field. These guys stayed put. The guys in these houses moved forward into the tower, clock tower and the Blue Roof Building. Company command's also on the top clock tower. These guys just dug in. These moved forward onto the crest of the hill, and these guys here stayed still. And then in terms of shooting, firing from this building, I managed to get 4 hits but no kills on the mortars. And then over here I got 5 hits but no kills on the mortars. And then artillery, my mortars ranged in there on the 3rd attempt, managed to kill a base though. And then over there it's actually a bit more open, and I ranged in with my 122s on the 1st attempt and managed to get a base. So I've pinned the mortars, see if they can unpin to fire back at me. So Peter is going to have 2 dice for reserves.
Okay, German turn 2. My 2 mortar teams, I managed to unpin 1 mortar team. This mortar team failed to unpin. I didn't bring on any ambushes this turn, although I may be running out of time and space for them. I did get reserves, and I brought my Tigers on. They got a 1, so they're coming on from this table edge, and they've decided to be quite bold to move up and try and take out a few, or as many as possible, of Frank's tanks, but they only bailed 1.
Yeah, 1 hit, 1 bail.
1 hit. This mortar platoon tried to range in on the church, but failed. And the other mortar platoon couldn't do anything because it's still pinned, and that was me. Yes.
Soviet turn 3. Motivations. Everything was fine. I can't quite remember if there was a need for any there, but everything was fine. In terms of movement, I here to get back in. 1 to T-34 got back in, and I've just done their crazy cross-country dash to get up to here to keep them guessing. I couldn't really charge them straightforward. And these are coming up to support with their anti-tank 15, 5 power 2, so rate of fire 1 though. These guys have moved forward a bit, staying within 4 inches of the lip of the hill, so they're heading from the other side but not from the lip to stop any ambushes, because Peter can still ambush me back here. These guys stayed put, these guys moved up into position to assault, these guys stayed put. And then in terms of shooting the mortars, managed to get another mortar over there, and then I think also one of the infantry bases got a mortar. Over here, my artillery ranged in again but didn't cause any casualties. These guys stayed going to ground. The heavy machine gun fired at the infantry. The guys fired at the infantry with the machine guns, managed to kill one. And then I was close enough to get an assault in against 2 bases of mortars. They died. I lost 1 base on the way in to counter fire from 1 base of Falshirmjaegers. That ended the assault, so I have taken a wee consolidation move further back. So Peter's got an ambush. His last reserve is his company command, and then he's got to do something effective, I think, with his lovely looking Tiger tanks.
Okay, so I tried to unpin this platoon and failed, but they managed to hang around, so that single mortar there, but he's still pinned. The other mortars ran away. This platoon failed to unpin, and that was all. And then I decided that my ambush had to come on, so I risked bringing it on up in the far corner to try and take out his big tank hunters. They killed one, but that I was expecting more from that, so I'll have to live with that. Shooting, the pinned platoon here shot at this platoon here and managed to kill 2 teams. Because they were only pinned, they were only getting 1 shot each. Over here they didn't shoot. The tank shot at this platoon here, killed 1 guy in here, and then 2 tanks assaulted into the 2 teams that were sitting there, and I managed to kill 1, and he broke off. So I tried to consolidate, expecting some reply from some of Frank's tanks, so we'll wait and see what happens. And that was me.
Soviet turn 4, so there was no worries with motivations. That turn, everything was okay. In terms of movement, these guys came back into the buildings from the area to the front, because they were very exposed to those Falshirmjaegers. These tanks have all moved from here to here, though 1 went off after anti-tank guns. These moved out, but it was going to be a miracle hit at range because of the slow firing gun, and then these guys moved up. These guys here moved into this building, threatening the Tigers, but only threatening this turn. In terms of bombardments, the mortars managed to kill 1 of the infantry, but never killed that last mortar. I guarantee you I'll regret that. And these guys here failed to range in. So in terms of shooting, they moved up to assault infantry guns, anti-tank guns. So in terms of shooting, oh dear. All these guys ganging up. Fair enough, there'd be some really good rolls to hit required. Only got 1, and I got a chance for a bail and never got the firepower. So they're going, targets. They're going to be probably shooting the hell out of them next turn. And then over here, I got the infantry. Only 2 bases can make contact on the side, and killed the base. They couldn't get out with 6 inches. They failed the motivation, couldn't get out with 6. So that ended the assault with them dead. But I think Peter's going to be getting his revenge next turn.
So that move, motivations, my remaining mortar failed to unpin and then ran away in the last stand test. This platoon over here that's been pinned for a number of turns unpinned, so they're unpinned, and also this platoon unpinned. My company commander's quite close, so they are unpinned. The only shooting I did was these 3 stands shot at some guys in the church, got a few hits, but none of them died. And then the Tiger shot at the T-34s.
Yeah.
Got 2 hits and destroyed 2 of them, so that was reasonable, but it could have been better. And that was the end of my turn. And then they did a short shooting scoot just to try and get out of sight of some of Frank's tanks.
We forgot to mention in previous turns, by the way, the company command came on over here, so Peters joined him into support of this platoon. Soviet turn 5. Let me think, in terms of movement, these tanks have decided there's no point in messing about with Tigers when there's objective need to be captured, so they're just heading back off. The guys are coming along with them. The guys stayed put. Did some shooting, these guys just went to ground. Then in terms of shooting, the mortars rearranged in over here. Didn't get anybody this turn, I keep forgetting to reroll for misses. Over here there was lots of hits on them from these guys, mostly from them though, so they are at least pinned. And then in terms of shooting, they arranged the big guns in, needing 6s and rolled 2 1s. And these guys needed 5s and got nothing above a 4, but they did shoot and scoot out of line of sight. So that's it for me, folks. It's getting critical now about getting within 8 inches of that objective.
Okay, that's not a very good turn for me. I managed to unpin this platoon over here with the help of the company commander. This platoon over here, the big platoon, still remains pinned. And all I did in movement was just move this Tiger around so he can get a shot at Frank's big gun. The only shooting I did was the Tigers at those, so I failed to hit, needing a 6. I got 5 shots, but I didn't get any hits. And that was the end of my turn.
So we turn 6. I could have done a bit in that turn, but I completely fluffed. Now, in terms of movement, I moved these around here to get flank shots. The T-34s have moved up to be able to contest the objective. Their back is well protected at the moment from surviving, well, from other Tigers. These guys moved up for an assault. Everything else pretty much stayed put. I managed to range in. What did I? Did the 1-2s range in?
They didn't fire. I don't think they fired because he said.
Oh no, they did. They ranged in over here. Right, I ranged the 1-2s in over there. The mortar stayed put. Now the 1-2s got it on the 3rd attempt, so got no hits. These guys moved around the side. One looking for a 4, one looking for a 5, no hits. In fact, 2 1s. Over here, it was like a 3 and a 2. So there wasn't anything going in against the Tigers at all. And then over here, quite a lot of shots went into the Falshirmjaegers. One base died to MG fire. It was all MG shots. I tried an assault, but he managed to get 5 hits on me. 5 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 6, which needing 4s, which is pretty good. So they didn't die, fortunately, from any of that kind of fire, so I've just had to pull back there, but I'm in a position to have a go back if I'm still alive next turn. The important thing is, at the moment, I'm within 8 inches of the objective, so it'll be tricky for Peter to win this turn.
Okay, so in that move, I managed to unpin this platoon. This platoon over here failed again to unpin, so they stayed pinned. Movement, didn't do any movement. The Tigers had a great turn that shot. One of them tried to shoot at the T-34s and got 2 hits, and then the other 2 went for the large tank hunters and got 2 hits. So destroyed the 2 T-34s and destroyed the 2 tank hunters. So that's good. That frees up my Tigers a bit, but they've got a long way to go to get across to support this objective. Decided to shoot and scoot with this platoon to see whether it can put any pressure over there, but they're going to take, it's going to take a long time to get them over, and they're still got opposition in the town. So we'll see what happens. But that was Tigers. That was their best move. That was fantastic.
That's Soviet turn 7. So motivations. These guys didn't unpin, so they couldn't go in for an assault. But being pinned isn't a problem for the rate of fire for these guys. It's a bit nuts. So they dug in. The moving rate of fire is 2. So just a bit of movement really. These guys came out, they moved over the hedge so I could get an angled assault on the go. got to fire these. We'll come back to that. But these guys here have moved so they can get some shooting down here. The mortar's also ranged in here and got a couple of guys. The other artillery is doing terribly. I realise these guys are doing absolutely terribly. They've only ranged in a couple of times. I don't think they've killed anything in the whole game. And then in terms of the assault, I went in with the tanks in the first instance because the Shrek, it's way back there, wasn't close enough to be involved. He missed the counterfire with the Faust, and I killed 2 bases. I had to make 2 cross checks, but killed 2 bases and then just pushed forward onto the objective. And Peter can decide what he wants to do there next turn. That will be it for my turn.
German turn. What did I do? These guys managed to unpin, and then eventually this platoon here managed to unpin. So that's good. These guys decided not to move at all. I was thinking about assaulting the tanks, but decided against it. Over here, this platoon moved away from the bombardment. They've decided not to try and go into the centre of the table. And the Tigers are dashing as fast as they can to save the day with this objective over here. I don't think they'll be there in time. So that's yes. This next turn could decide it.
So, Soviet turn 8. These guys at the front failed to unpin again, and they were kind of, I thought, critical to putting assaults in over there. These guys here were like running around to try and put a block on here, with the heavy machine gun going to be moving into there to stop the Tigers getting through, but they failed to follow me. Otherwise, it would have been almost like I knew what I was doing. Over here, I've got a platoon of infantry along here with a follow me, supported by the company command for assaulting, and the tanks positioned themselves. And then I fired everything at moving rate of fire into there. Didn't kill anybody, but got pins, which was important because when I put my assault in, there was only a couple of hits, 2 hits, which killed one of my guys going in, and then I killed 2 in assault. And then these guys who have made one fearless motivation check the whole game, they ran away. So that was enough for me to end the turn, hold my objective. So there you go. I managed to just squeeze it in there before the reserves arrived. So we'll go over to a recap. Folks, there you go, an actual summing up with 2 people in the same room. A nice pleasant change, though I have to tell you the heat in here, even with the windows open, and this is the cool side of the house. It's too hot. But there you go, I managed to get a win. My plan was the objectives at either side, to put platoons against each objective and the one in the middle to swing either way depending on where the reserves came on, because I knew there was going to be one important reserve, and I was lucky that the side I loaded a bit more with tanks is where they didn't come in. My SU-100s, I normally expect to do a lot better. That's the first time I've had their backside kicked, and it was Tiger tanks that did it, so fair enough. Maybe that just slowed Peter down enough for me to concentrate on the objective in the corner, and his fearless guys, they weren't up for the fight at all the whole game. Peter, what do you think about the game?
It was a good game. I struggled. I had expensive troops, so I only had 6 platoons, which meant I had to sort of concentrate around the 2 objectives that were quite well spaced. I didn't protect my mortars. My mortars are good, would have been good against this force, because they're quite good at pinning infantry, and I left them a bit too exposed, so they were taken out quite early, and that left me with the 2 Falshirmjaeger platoons and the Tigers coming on. The Tigers, they come on this side here. They did very well, but I think it would have been better if they'd come on a bit earlier, and maybe on that side. They were coming to the rescue, but they were just maybe 2 or 3 moves too late.
And had to go for that time, which was always awkward.
Yes. So it was a good game. Good game.
Your ambush, tell us the folks
Yes,
what your...
my ambush, I've delayed my ambush maybe for too long, and it left me with limited places, and so I eventually brought them on here when the big, to try and get rid of the tank killers. They killed one, which was good, but the other two escaped, and then once they'd appeared there, then it was fair game for Frank to come and to assault them, and they disappear very quickly.
It's tricky because you put them down somewhere, I might just turn my tanks away and then all the artillery go on them, so it can be tricky with ambushes. Usually it's a suicide mission in an ambush. Yes. But there you go folks, our first face-to-face game in about 15 months I think. We hope to have a few more, and we hope it'll be a bit cooler. There's a venue opened very close to here as well, which is, it's just bonkers how big it is. And I think they're building the tables just now, so we'll hopefully be able to get a few events on the go as well and get some of the guys here in Scotland playing regularly too. But thanks for watching guys, thanks for the game Peter.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks to all the guys who subscribed, and if you've not subscribed already, please give it some consideration as it helps us build the channel and bring this kind of content to other people who like Flames of War.